Hey there. Are you tired of waiting for the next episode of It's Probably Not Aliens? Well, we've got some good news for you. On Nebula, our streaming service, you can get access to all our episodes a week early. That's right, you'll never have to wait again to hear Scott and I debunk the latest ancient astronaut theory or get a movie fact wrong. But that's not all. Nebula is home to dozens of content creators we know you like, so you can find all your favorites in one place. Plus, we post content on there that you won't find anywhere else. And the best part? By signing up for Nebula at nebula.tv/probablyNotAliens, you're directly supporting the show and both of us. So don't wait any longer. Join Nebula today and listen to the next episode right after this one. Hey everybody. So, I wasn't supposed to be recording today. Scott's not here. There's no guest. This isn't part of a season or on the schedule. But I thought I would test out, we do these regular emergency episodes, or we used to do them. But the turnaround of our seasons means that once we actually plan out an episode, it can be months before it sees the light of day. So I, in the light of Scott not being here, he's on paternity leave right now, enjoying time with his little bebe. So I'm here kind of by myself to do an emergency episode and see what you guys think of it. It is a new thing. It's experimental. So I really want you to know that you could take this one way or the other, but I would really like to know what you think about the format. So that's just like me leveling you with you, what I'm doing. It's not going to be, this is a little bit of an older story, but it's going to be very lightly edited, and it's just going to be enough to kind of get us out the door. So I want you to Google something real quick for the topic of this episode. It's called the Acapulco UFO. I saw this because when I hearted something, I do a thing where I save videos on my TikTok account where there's crankery that I think I want to respond to. And now my For You feed is full of cranks, which I guess is good because it's material for stuff like this. But yeah, if you Google this, the Acapulco UFO, you're seeing what's being called the clearest UFO photograph of 2026 that was taken over Acapulco, Mexico in broad daylight. It's been run through AI enhancement tools, and the result is this sharp, angular, metallic-looking object hanging in a blue sky. People are pointing to panel seams, ridges, what looks like ports or windows on the surface, straight edges, smooth curves, a surface that looks like a machined piece of aerospace engineering. The captions circulating with the image say things like the Pentagon can't explain what this is, or the AI enhance the details to confirm its authenticity, and that it's a clear picture in daylight. One AI detection tool even reportedly scored it 97% real. So this all feels like a verdict. It feels like forensic science. And I'll be straight with you. If you saw this image in your feed and you only thought about it for a second, part of your brain would go, oh, looks pretty fucking weird. That reaction is actually the point, and the image is designed to produce that reaction. It's actually optimized for it. So then, what is it? It's a 12 taller party balloon from Party City. Let's get into it. All right, let me give this the treatment it deserves. Let me try to steel man it as we try to do now, because debunking this only works if I show you the strongest version of the argument first. Sometime in January of 2025, a photograph was reportedly taken over Acapulco, Mexico, which was attributed to a local skywriter named Maria de la Rosa. Now, I say reportedly because I should flag it up front. No one has actually been able to independently track down an original verified upload from this person. The name appears in viral posts as attribution, but the actual provenance of the photo is to this day unconfirmed. So let's just keep that in the back of your mind. And we'll come to see why that matters later. The original image was blurry. Like many UFOs, it was low resolution, ambiguous, and if it had stayed that way, you and I would not be having this conversation right now. Blurry sky photos are a dime a dozen in UFO circles, and they typically go nowhere. But in early 2026, someone did something to it. They ran it through a consumer AI upscaling software, a tool like Topaz or Photoshop Enhance or Stable Diffusion. These upscalers, these are things that anybody can download, and the result was stunning. The blurry blob became this sharp, angular, detailed image, and suddenly you could see what looked like metal plates, straight panel rivets, surface structure, and the internet collectively lost its mind. The image got repackaged by meme accounts, UFO aggregators, Reddit threads, and each time they had captions that were engineered for maximum engagement. The Pentagon can't explain what this is, or captured over Acapulco today, or high resolution capture. And then somebody ran it through an AI detection tool and it came back as being 97% real. So, verifying the source of this photo. Now, if you're a person who's just idly scrolling through your feed, what do you see? You'll see a clear, detailed photo of a metallic object. You see people pointing to specific engineering features. You see a number like 97% that sounds like a pretty scientific verdict. And you see the Pentagon mentioned, which triggers every UFO disclosure reflex that the internet has developed over the last 3 years. From the outside, the evidence looks like it's getting better. The resolution went up, the detail increased, it got a score, and it all points in one direction. Except the resolution is actually kind of the problem, and I'm going to explain why. But first, I want to understand the environment that this image surfaced in, because it didn't go viral in a vacuum. On February 20th, 2026, President Trump made a sweeping social media pledge to direct agencies to, and this is a near direct quote, begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomenon, and unidentified flying objects. It was widely reported as an executive order, though it's important to note that it was actually a public pledge and a presidential directive, and not a formally published, numbered legal document. There's a difference, but the media mostly didn't bother with that distinction. Basically, it was just a thing. He just said shit. Nothing actually legally actionable happened. Shortly after, the defense secretary, Pete Hegseth, told the press pool that the Pentagon was going to be in full compliance and was eager to provide that for the president, while cautioning that it would take time to structure the process. Simultaneously, the National Archives formalized an official UAP archive. They established guidance and deadlines requiring agencies to identify and transfer their digital UAP files, which means UAP files became a named administrative collection with a countdown clock attached to it. Now, think about what that does for the information environment. The President of the United States, as Donald Trump as he is, says that alien files are coming. The Pentagon says they're complying. The National Archives builds a special vault for the documents. And now there's a background hum in every UFO community on the internet that says that something big is coming any day now, and that the reveal is imminent. And into that supercharged atmosphere drops a sharp, detailed, AI-verified photograph of a metallic object over a Mexican resort city. UFO accounts, they explicitly framed it as connected to the disclosure narrative. This is exactly what they've been hiding, finally coming into focus. The photo wasn't being evaluated on its own merits, it was slotted into a story that the audience already believed. It arrived at the exact moment people had been told that proof was coming, so they treated it like it was proof. This is what I mean when I talk about disclosure theater. It's not that the government has nothing. It's just that the cycle of announcements, countdowns, and official sounding processes creates a psychological environment where bad evidence gets treated as good evidence, because people are primed to expect revelations. The government doesn't need to actually release aliens. They just need to keep suggesting that they might, and the audience sort of fills in the rest. Okay. So, slowing down for a second. If you actually do get to see the image, the, high-res 4K version, and your first thought was, oh, that's obviously fake. Great. I'm glad, because that means your instincts are working. Because if you saw it and something in you hesitated, if some part of your brain went, wait, does that actually look real? It doesn't mean you're gullible, but it means that the image did its job. The images are going viral because the entire information environment, the AI enhancement, the disclosure hype, and the engagement algorithms, forensic sounding numbers, is all working together to make bad evidence feel like it's good. So the problem is the entire information ecosystem that we're living in right now. And the fact that you're here listening to this means that you already know something was off. And so I'm just going to give you the tools to articulate why. So first, let's talk about what it actually is. The object in the Acapulco photograph is a foil party balloon manufactured by Anagram International. Specifically, it's a Hollywood movies film clapboard balloon, the kind shaped like one of those little black and white movie clapboards that directors use. It's about 30 inches wide when it's inflated. It's double-sided, self-sealing, and holds about 1.87 cubic feet of helium. The reason I know all of this is because you can actually buy this right now at Party City as the Award Night Hollywood Clapboard / Real Satin Foil Balloon Bouquet. It's in black and gold. You could also get it at Walmart. It's on Walmart as the Film Fest Jumbo Clapboard Balloon, or on Amazon as the Hollywood Clapboard Jumbo Party Balloon. I don't know if I want to put links in the show notes for this, but that's where I found these things. If you want to get your own spacecraft, I guess you can Google those terms. It's about between $6 and $10, or a lot more if you want to get it with a full bouquet with helium and ribbons. Now, the spacecraft is categorized under a movie night party supply. The full bouquet, the one whose silhouette matches the photo, typically has the clapperboard balloon, a circular film reel balloon, some smaller foil star balloons, and they're all tethered together so they float as a cluster, which is why the original blurry image looks not like sort of like a rectangle, but like an irregular, vaguely craft-shaped object that let people's imaginations do the rest. And it's also worth appreciating that the alien spacecraft is a prop from the entertainment industry, a product that was literally designed to celebrate the spectacle of Hollywood filmmaking, drifted into the sky, got photographed, AI enhanced, and then became a spectacle in and of itself. The entertainment industry produced the object that became the alien sighting. So, the call is coming from inside the house. But here's the thing. The balloon is the funny part. It's funny. It's hilarious. If this were a normal episode, I'd laugh and move on. I'd tell you about the real history of Acapulco or something. But that's not why I made this emergency episode, because the scary part is what happened between the balloon and the 4K UFO photograph. The scary part is the process that turned one into the other, because the process is not going to stop. It's not going to be limited to party balloons. And I am assuming it is going to, or at least I'm guessing, that it's going to be the cause of a lot of headaches for skeptics in the future. 3 things turn that party balloon into an alien spacecraft, and I want you to understand all 3 because they're going to be showing up in your feed probably for the rest of your life. First, the balloon is made of mylar, and mylar is basically a flexible mirror. When sunlight hits it, it creates this intense high contrast highlight, bright white reflections, and deep shadows. To a camera, especially at a distance, those reflections don't make it look like foil, it makes it look like a kind of hard machine metallic surface that you'd see on an airplane or a spacecraft. The folds and creases in the foil become panel seams, and the specular glare becomes structural geometry. The balloon is literally doing what it's designed to do, catch light and look shiny, and that shininess is being misread as aerospace engineering. The second is that there's something called telephoto compression and digital zoom. So when you photograph a small object at a distance with a telephoto lens or the digital zoom on your phone, you lose all of the depth cues. So you lose the idea of how far away something is or how big it is. Your brain normally uses something called parallax, the distance between your two eyes. atmospheric haze, size comparisons with nearby objects, and context to judge how big something is and how far away it is. Telephoto compression strips all of that away. So a 30-inch balloon 300 feet up looks the same as a 30-foot craft 3,000 feet up. And without context, your brain defaults to big and far rather than small and close because that's just a more interesting story to tell yourself. And the third is the AI upscaling. That's the big one. The thing that made this specific case from every other blurry UFO that we've seen before it. So I need to tell you a little bit about what AI upscaling is and what it did in this case. So AI upscaling isn't a magnifying glass. It's not like an actual, it doesn't actually increase the resolution of a picture. That is one of the most important things you need to know whenever you hear about upscaling. It doesn't uncover the hidden details that were already in the photo. It's not enhancing like a cop show would make you think, because you can't say enhance to a blurry photo and get the truth. Unfortunately, the classic term that you can't polish a turd, it still stands up. The information is there and it cannot be created. So what it does is it infers or invents. It's like a visual version of predictive text. You know, when you type I am on my phone, your keyboard will say way or phone, but it doesn't know where you are. It's just completing based on a pattern of millions of other texts that it's studied. And AI upscalers do the same thing, but with pixels. The model has been trained on millions of high-resolution pictures, you know, of buildings, faces, machines, vehicles, and then when you feed it a blurry, pixelated photo of a mylar balloon, it doesn't see a balloon, but an ambiguous, high-contrast blob. And its visual predictive text starts to kick in. It looks like a jagged white pixel next to a gray pixel and says, shiny gray thing in the sky. Based on my trading data, shiny gray things are usually metal. Metal has straight edges. Metal has panel seams. Metal has rivets. So it draws in a brushed metal texture. It adds a straight panel line, and it turns that random glare into a structured porthole. It literally overwrites the blurry pixels with a fabricated high-definition aerospace details because the algorithm decided that they should be there to make the image look sharp. The technical term for this is conditional hallucination. And I love that term because it's a little jargony, so why don't we just give you a better way to think about it? Imagine if you witnessed something, but you forgot your glasses. And then you go to a police sketch artist and you say, I saw a blurry smudge in the sky wearing a blobby shape. A good sketch artist draws a blurry smudge because that's what you saw, but this sketch artist is an artificial intelligence system. This sketch artist has seen a million pictures of cool-looking metal objects and thinks that blurry smudges are boring, so it confidently draws a photorealistic spacecraft with razor-sharp panel lines, perfect textured rivets, and machine metallic plating. The general outline, the silhouette, came from your description, but every single sharp detail was invented by the artist's imagination to just fill in the blanks. And that's what happened with the Acapulco balloon. The AI kept the overall shape and the lighting. Everything else, though, the rivets, the panels, the windows, the surface structure that made people gasp is all fiction. It's made up. It was written by an algorithm and used statistics and pasted all that stuff over top of this $12 Party City balloon. And what keeps me up at night about it is that for 150 years, a cleaner photo of something usually meant that it was more trustworthy. Because that was a reasonable assumption. If you could get more detail, you had more evidence. The whole history of forensic photography is built on the principle that resolution reveals truth, and AI upscaling completely broke it. We're in the first period of human history where a clearer image is going to be less trustworthy than a blurry one. So 4K will more mean that it's has more invented details than it has more realistic ones. And that number, and that 97% number, the sort of the AI confirms authenticity thing, that feels very confident. It feels like forensic science, but it is not. The viral post that circulated the 97% claim didn't name what tools that produced the score. So imagine if you were in a courtroom and an expert witness said, my equipment confirmed that this is real. And the judge asked, what equipment? And the expert said, well, I'm not going to tell you. That testimony would be thrown out. But on the internet, a number with no methodology and no source gets treated as proof. So here's what these detection tools actually are. Image classifiers. They're trained on data sets of AI-generated images and real images, and then when you feed them a photo, they tell you which pile it looks more like to them. It uses vectors and stuff like that. That 97% is not an objective probability of truth. It's something called a confidence score, which is how closely the image's pixel statistics match the narrow assumptions baked into whatever model this anonymous person ran it through. And these tools are notoriously brittle. Independent testing has shown that when you move them from a clean lab condition to real-world images that have been compressed, edited, or screenshotted or re-uploaded can lose 40 to 50% of their accuracy. Different tools will assign wildly different scores to the exact same image. One detector might say 97% AI, and another will say it's completely real, with the exact same photo. So this is actually the same rhetorical move that Ancient Aliens uses with the precise astronomical alignments. It's using the numbers as a sort of theater to make it appear like it has scientific rigor, but without any of its substance. The percentage will give your brain permission to stop thinking critically because that number feels like somebody already did the thinking for you. And humans are nothing if not extremely lazy animals. UNESCO has explicitly warned that over-reliance on these tools encourages what they call false confidence, the belief that a machine can settle questions of authenticity that actually require human judgment, context, and verification. And worse, the existence of these contested tools creates what philosophers call the liar's dividend, that bad actors can slap a comforting score on a fake image to launder it as real, and they can dismiss a genuine image as probably AI to discredit it. The same tools cut both ways, and they don't resolve the question of what's real. So, if an AI can make anything look real, and if detector scores are unreliable, and if the information environment is actively hostile to good judgment, like, what do we actually do? How do you evaluate a viral image today in 2026? I'm going to try to give you a little bit of a framework. I'm going to call it the provenance check, because provenance is a word that the art world means for where did this thing come from and who's touched it since. And it turns out that question is now more important than any other one that you can ask about an image. So step one, we'll need to find the original file, not the repost or the screenshot of the screenshot or the 4K enhanced version, the very first upload. Where did this image enter the internet? Who posted it? When? On what platform? In the Acapulco case, this is already a red flag because the original photographer attribution is secondhand hearsay in viral posts. Nobody can actually track down the verified first upload. That doesn't prove that it's fake, but it means the foundation is already shaky before you even evaluate the content. Second, you have to trace the custody of the picture. How many times has this file been reposted, screenshotted, re-encoded, cropped, or enhanced? Every step in that chain is a point where information can be added, removed, or fabricated. An image that has been through 4 platforms, 2 AI upscalers, and a dozen repost accounts is not going to be the same image that came out of that camera. It's a game of telephone where each player photoshopped a little bit more. All right, and step 3, match the silhouette to known objects before speculating about unknown ones. This is the move that cracked the Acapulco case. Someone just took the shape of the object and systematically searched retail catalogs for consumer products that looked like it. And they found the party balloon. There was no government agency required or a special clearance or an AI detector. Somebody just thought to ask, does this look like something you can buy? Before asking, is this an alien spacecraft? So, to sum up, the provenance check. You get the original file, you trace its chain of custody, and then you try to see if you can match it to a known object. You could do all of those on your phone if you really wanted to. And the beautiful thing about this framework is that it doesn't require you to trust any institution. You don't have to believe in the government story or a tech company. You're not an AI detector, and nobody really is. That's the problem. It's a horizontal verification method, a mutual aid form of epistemology, I guess. You're going to build your own capacity to evaluate evidence without asking permission from anybody. But I want to be honest about something, because I'm not going to stand here and tell you that this framework is going to save us from all the deepfakes. It's simply not going to. Algorithms reward emotional engagement, not, OSINT techniques into its metadata. It's a social survival skill, but not a software update. So, but it is a skill. It's one that you can practice. It's one that you can teach. It's one that you can improve at. And right now, in this specific environment of media, that's more important than any sort of random AI detector score. And one more thing. It's almost comically simple, but the US government already investigated this one. In March of 2024, the All-Domain Anomaly Resource Resolution Office, or AARO, the Pentagon's official UAP investigation unit, actually published a report that's publicly available that you can read. And in their words, they said that all investigative efforts and all levels of classification concluded that most sightings were ordinary objects and phenomenon and the result of misidentification. They go further to say that most of the cases that remain unsolved are unsolved because the data is bad, not because the physics are breaking. So many of the unknowns are data poor, not, magic physics or something that they can't explain, or it's at least something that is impossible to explain. And so there is, as they say, a direct correlation between the amount of quality available information on a case with the ability to conclusively resolve it. So the less data you have, the more mysterious it looks, and so if you add more data, you find out that it's a balloon. The report found no evidence of extraterrestrial technology, no evidence of hidden crash retrieval programs or reverse engineering, the stuff that disclosure advocates have been promising for decades. The government looked and it just wasn't there. Now, how did the disclosure community respond to this? Did they accept the findings of an investigation that they spent years demanding? Of course not. They did two things. First, they flattened its nuance. The report says that most cases are resolved as mundane, and the remaining unknowns are data poor. And the headline then becomes, "Still many unexplained cases." So they took the opposite lesson, and then also attacked the AARO's credibility, because, governments do deserve scrutiny, but they replaced it with nothing that is more rigorous. The alternative institutions they built, the collection of YouTube analysts and citizen intelligence groups and UFO aggregator accounts, they're not any more transparent or more accountable. They just confirm what the audience already wants to believe. And so the Acapulco balloon exists in this ecosystem. To survive scrutiny, it just needs to circulate faster than the scrutiny can catch up. Now, I'm going to kind of get into a bigger thing about why it went viral and why that's not because people are stupid. But first, I just want you to take a second to enjoy the wonders of product and service.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
All right. We've identified the balloon. We've understood how optics and AI turned it into a spacecraft. We went over the provenance check. So now I'm going to zoom out about the interesting question about what is it, but why did this specific thing work? And it was because of three different things. First, the disclosure theater. The president, the Pentagon, and the National Archives spent early 2026 telling the public that the alien files are coming, and this primed the audience to interpret any ambiguous image as a preview of the big reveal. The government created demand, and the internet simply supplied the product. The second is the AI tools. Anybody can upscale a photo now. The technology is free or very, very cheap. And the output looks impressive to people who don't understand that sharper and truer no longer mean the same thing. The barrier between blurry nothing and convincing something has dropped to essentially zero effort and zero cost. And third, platform engagement economics. So the algorithms that determine what you see in your feed, they don't actually care about the truth. They just care about engagement. Wonder, outrage, and controversy, that's what produces engagement. So a 4K UFO photo over an exotic location with 97% real score is engagement gold. The platforms that they're not conspiring to spread the UFO hoaxes, but they're structurally incapable of distinguishing between wonder and truth. And they don't need to because they're trying to optimize for clicks and ad revenue. So you think of the Acapulco balloon as a product that went through a supply chain. The original photo is just, raw material, and the upscaler, processed it to add value, fake value, but value nonetheless that makes it more marketable. The disclosure hype is an advertising campaign that pre-sold the audience on wanting the object. And the platforms are the distribution network that gets it in front of millions of eyeballs. At every stage, someone or something extracts attention from the image, and attention in 2026 is like the most valuable commodity. This is a normal function of the content ecosystem. And I want to do something that we always do on this show. I want to talk a little bit about the actual place, because Acapulco is not just like a normal backdrop. It's not a setting for someone else's alien fantasy, but it's actually like a real city where real people are dealing with real problems. And those problems have a way of disappearing behind the spectacle, because in January 2026, a magnitude, 6.5 earthquake hit the state of Guerrero, where Acapulco sits. And the city is still recovering from Hurricane Otis in 2023, which was a Category 5 storm that devastated the region. And in early March 2026, a 2-ton cocaine seizure was reported off the coast, a reminder that cartel violence is an ongoing reality in the daily life there. The recovery from these overlapping crises is divided by class. The coastal hotel zone, the port facilities, and the major tourist attractions were rebuilt fast. State investment, private money, insurance payouts happen pretty quickly. The tourism sector needs to brand Acapulco as resilient and open for business so that the infrastructure that serves tourists gets prioritized. But meanwhile, the low-income neighborhoods on unstable hillsides and river valleys, the places that took the worst damage from both the hurricane and the earthquake, places full of self-built homes, held together by community and mutual aid, those are still dealing with power outages, disrupted water service, and damaged roads long after the tourist facilities have been reopened. Security is the same story. They rebuilt the tourist enclaves and they get, concentrated police departments, while poor peripheries only really experience state presence through episodic militarized raids. The UFO over Acapulco circulated globally with no friction, got millions of views, generated clicks and engagement and revenue across platforms, but the actual city of Acapulco, the workers, the families, and survivors of the earthquake and hurricanes were invisible. And that attention that was put on their community, the spectacle, could have been, put to good aim, I suppose. The same platform that, incentivized turning the balloon into a UFO could turn a disaster into a real story. Instead, that was kind of just a backdrop. This didn't even get into it, in the context of everything. So yeah, there's a whole lot to go on with there. But yeah, to be fair here, I don't want to be the thing that I'm criticizing, because you might be thinking, Tristan, this is just a balloon. The internet figured it out. Somebody matched the silhouette to a retail product. The debunking community identified it. The correction is circulating in the same channels as the hoax. So the system works, right? Why are you acting like the sky is falling? And you'd be right. In this case, the system did work. Crowdsourced skepticism did its job. Horizontal verification, the kind of mutual aid that I'm describing in the provenance check, is exactly what was identified in this balloon. So it's a success story, and I want it to be named as one. But I want to tell you something, that this worked because this was a very easy case of it. There was an original object in the real world. It had a specific shape that could be matched to a commercial product. There was the balloon that you could see. The product listing was already there. The comparison was obvious once somebody had thought to make it. What happens, though, when there isn't a balloon? Or what happens when someone generates a UFO image from scratch using an artificial intelligence, so there is no original photo or physical object or silhouette to match? What happens when the 4K evidence didn't start as a blurry photo of a real thing, but was fabricated entirely from nothing? In that way, there's no chain of custody to trace, there's no product to find, there's no original file, because the original is the fake. And that is coming. That's not a hypothetical. AI image generation has been a major thing on the internet for the last couple of years, and it's showing no sign of getting worse. The the ability for artificial intelligence to create these images and create hoaxes is getting very, very good, to the point where it's getting kind of spooky. And in the near future, we might be able to make very realistic looking UFOs with no, with no evidence or no, kind of telltale signs, the extra fingers and whatnot. So this is the easiest version. And we need to upgrade our tools for the next time this happens, because I would rather yet, practice on the easy case and then try to learn it, because the stakes will be higher in the future. There's a whole thing going on right now where some people are claiming that Benjamin Netanyahu might be dead because some of the videos around him might have some AI artifacting. And so, I don't have the answer to that question, obviously, but it does mean that in the future, we might not even to know basic facts, like what world leaders are dead and alive, because even the evidence that is in front of us, we won't be able to trust. So yeah. The forecast is changing. Things are going to change in the future. And so I just want you to kind of be prepared. Let's give another example. The clearest UFO photo of 2026 is this balloon that you can buy on Amazon. It was AI upscaled into something that looked like a UFO by an algorithm that nobody was able to name, and dropped into a media environment where the president had told everybody that alien files were coming. Then, as the resolution got better, the truth actually started to decrease. And nobody along the chain of possession, not the upscaler, not the poster, not the algorithm or the meme accounts, really were incentivized to stop and check whether this was real, because checking isn't a way to generate engagement. Trust me, I know. They needed wonder and certainty. And so, conspiracy is what worked. And so you have something that now, most people scrolling past the image don't have. You have a way to figure out what it is. Find the original file, trace its chain of custody, and then get its silhouette matched to known objects. These 3 steps could have cracked the Acapulco case in minutes. If any of the people along the process had done this, it would have stopped the flow of content right away. And it will crack some of the other ones too. But even when they don't, when, we are dealing with the really realistic, fully AI generated fakes, and there's no original to match, the first 2 steps of that will still apply. And they will still narrow the field. So, provenance. Remember that. High res is no longer a way to prove that something is real. Provenance is being able to have the chain of custody back to the original. Remember this balloon and have it, teach you the framework. So the next time that somebody shows you a UFO photo, ask those questions, and maybe you'll find out it's actually a balloon. So yeah, that's this thing. I want you guys to tell me whether or not this was a worthwhile endeavor of my time. I thought that this was a really cool, very It's Probably Not Aliens type of story, and I wanted to get on it, while it was only a month behind. But yeah, if you liked this kind of stuff and you want me to cover other trending topics as they come out with a fast turnaround time, then just let me know. In the meantime, you can tell me whether or not that worked at Probs Not Aliens on Blue Sky. And if you want to help us out, you can go to stepbackhistory.com, or you can go to NerdSync to help Scott to watch our videos and enjoy them and help with growth. If you want to help this channel out, if you haven't signed up for Nebula and you want to sign up for Nebula, what you do is you go to nebula.tv/probablynotaliens. And if you sign up through that link, you help us out and you get to get episodes a week early, or in this case, maybe a few days. I'm not sure. I haven't figured that out yet. And then you get those episodes early. You get an extra Q&A episode. And then on top of that, you get patreon.com/probsnotaliens is where you can find a little, fund we put together to help pay our editors and, buy equipment and all that kind of stuff. If you don't have money and you want to help out the show, totally get it. You can use the reviews. If you have a podcast app of choice, leave us a nice review. Tell your friends about the show. let them know, because word of mouth is super important in the podcast game. And the place you can send them is probsnotaliens.com. So that is all for now. So until next time, I'm Tristan Johnson, just Tristan Johnson, and the truth is out there. Probably.
The Bleacher Report app is your destination for sports. Right now, the NBA is heating up, March Madness is here, and MLB is almost back. Every day there's a new headline, a new highlight, a new moment you've got to see for yourself. That's why I stay locked in with the Bleacher Report app. For me, it's about staying connected to my sports. I can follow the teams I care about, get real-time scores, breaking news, and highlights all in one place. Download the Bleacher Report app today so you never miss a moment.